Hello, Holotable. It is I, Mr. Hippo. I'm here with a video. We are breaking down today kind of my take on the state of the game, the state of my account. Doing this in two different perspectives. One from my main account where I've got a lot of investment. I'm over 6 million galactic power. I've gotten a couple GLs. I'm in a pretty stable state. I'm able to do most events in the game, participating at a fairly high level in the territory battles and guild events and the raids. And also my account where it's a free-to-play account that I started back over the summer or late summer, hit level 85 back in September. Kind of that newer player experience and perspective. Kind of giving my take on what you should focus on. A little bit of a take on the upcoming updates to the game, how that might impact a semi-veteran player like myself or a new player where I have a perspective of that on my other account. So let's hop into that and we'll show you what everybody's talking about. You may have seen some videos lately on YouTube. Other YouTubers are talking about the state of the game, how it's terrible, or how these changes are not going to bring about positive change to the game. They're going to remove rewards. And while they are all partially correct, and I believe that these changes may reshape the future of the game in a more pay-to-win style, I do think for newer players, it may have a very positive impact, and only impact you in massive ways if you're approaching that later state of the game where you have a lot of teams built, and you can activate and participate in every event in the game, or at least 80% of the events, like the soul battles and events and galactic challenges. Alright, so let's hop onto my main account here. If you follow my channel for any time, you do know that I have been doing these galactic challenges here. We have a Clone Trooper one upcoming later today, or basically tonight for myself if you're on the East Coast of America. And you know that this is going to have some changes coming with the new update to the game coming out on the 20th of November, where you're not going to be able to get the full rewards anymore. So if you're already max creating this, you're going to see a slight drop off in rewards. But if you are a newer player where you can't even get the red crate, that's basically the maximum rewards possible, you are going to see an increase in rewards. That's pretty good for you. So it's going to help newer accounts get to higher end game faster, because one of the biggest drawbacks is gearing up your characters. As to gear up one character, if you're doing the in-game raids and getting all the maximum currencies possible, to get all these gear pieces from gear 12 to gear 13 takes you about a week to get a guy up, even if you are farming these things through the campaign. So I find this gear piece and I'm farming this here. You don't get many drops of this gear piece at a time. So if you're not trying to buy the gear, you're trying to do it free to play and farm it up yourself, it'll take you about a week if you fully dedicate all your resources to gearing up a character. That can take you a long time if you're a new player trying to gear up all these characters here. Right? I've bought some Lightspeed bundles. I've also farmed up these characters over time. But just to do one character takes you about a week. So you can only do about 52 characters a year. And that's pretty tough for most players. I mean, that's if you miss a day or two, you're behind by quite a bit. You miss one raid from being out of town, or vacation, or sick, it can really hurt your income and your ability to maintain things. If you're a newer player, it takes you even longer because you're not getting all the raid rewards. We go to this raid here, look at it. We go to our rewards here. This Mark II currency, you get nowhere close to this in other raids. I'll show you on my alternate account later on how many I get. Let's go to Speeder Bike, for example. I think the rewards for Mark II are pretty similar. Yeah, so you still get the same amount of Mark II rewards. Let's say you can't do the indoor raid or the Naboo raid. You're getting much less rewards. Let's go here and look at the first red crate here. I mean, you're not getting 0 Mark II if you're only doing this one here, which means it's going to take a long time to get characters from gear 12 to your relic levels. And that's no bueno. But I don't want to get into too much of the nitty gritty of gearing up characters. I kind of talk about where my focus is on my main account right now, where my focus is on my other accounts. I'll show you the other account later on. It's much less in abilities and what events I can do. But on my main account, I do have my same plan here of what characters I'm going to go for. I'm going for JML soon. I'm basically pushing for Luke right now, right away. That's a personal path. You don't have to go for Luke right away, but it is a great choice for most accounts. If you don't have Jedi Knight Luke available, It opens up doorways for several galactic legends, and he's a great character by himself with a few Jedi on his team. The biggest thing though, the biggest crux I think players should be thinking about right now is raid specific. Do you continue gearing up your current raid characters, or do we start to gear up possible future raid characters? Now I've done a little bit of speculation about what the next raid could be. I think it's going to come out around March, maybe February or March. We don't have any official statements from Capital Games yet, but knowing the track record of how the Endor raid happened and how the Naboo raid happened, usually some of the more recent characters are part of the raid. Like if you think about the Battle for Naboo raid going on right now, what do we have here? We have Master Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan. They're newish characters from this year before the raid came out, and they have an assault battle. So that's an interesting idea, or interesting concept. You have one conquest character, Queen Amidala, who was released recently. You also have the Gungans, who were released, I think, back in February or so, who are also part of the raid when it came out. And they are the only new characters for this raid. Everybody else is a pre-existing character. So that gives us an idea of what factions to look for the new raid, and what characters to work on right away. So if you see here for my raid objectives, I have Captain Enoch, and then basically his squad too with the other Imperial Remnant Undead troopers. I think those guys are going to be part of the raid because 1, they have an assault battle, 2, they're a new faction that's going to be leading into Thrawn down the road. So a lot of requirements and use for CG to push those guys. I also think you're going to see some Night Sister play. You have Great Mothers, which is a new character as well. I can see her being a premium character. Ezra could be the conquest character you need for the raid, or could be one that we haven't seen yet. I think Ezra will be a character you can use in the raid as well. So that's why I've been farming him pretty hard in Conquest, and I'll have him probably by the next 1 or 2 Conquests. I can easily see Baylan and Shin being a character as well. I put Shin here because I'm not going to have Baylan for a long time, but I can see myself gearing up Shin and farming her if I think she's going to be part of the raid down the road when we get more official announcements. But I feel like right now is a good time to make the shift from gearing up my current raid characters for the Battle for Naboo and start focusing on the future. So that's why I'm gearing up these guys right now, because my current characters for Battle for Naboo, I can get a pretty good score. I can get like 4 point something mil. I could push these guys higher, but if I start putting more relics into these guys, it'll delay all my other farms. So I'm not saying you need to farm your next raid objectives right now, because we don't know what they are, but it wouldn't hurt to start farming them, because it does take, 4 to 6 months to farm each of these guys if you're only doing 5 battles a day. So if I'm going to send these, I've already done it today, but the drop rate's about 2.7 on average, give or take. It's kind of rough math, but doing that will take you about 4 to 6 months depending on how many drops you get. So if you don't start these guys now, in 6 months time when it's spring next year for America, you're going to have a really hard time doing some of the raid if you only have your basic Night Sisters, or you don't have any of these powerful characters for the raid. You're missing a whole faction that you haven't farmed yet. So I think right now could be a really good time to start farming them in the background. Not saying you need to stop gearing up your characters, but get them to gear 12. That's not too hard to do, get characters at gear 12. So do that minimum. That way, right when the raid starts, you already have a solid team to get some raid points. And then over the next couple weeks, you can then bump them to relic levels and be in a much better spot to get all the raid rewards possible, which will really boost your guild's ability to be successful, but also boost your ability to then gain gear and all those juicy rewards down the line. But my philosophy hasn't changed too much on the path I'm going on my main account. I'm going to finish up a couple teams here that I haven't finished up yet, like my Gas team and my Hera team, my Phoenix. And I've been working on these guys slowly in the background. I'm sort of hoping for a Revan bundle, sort of a Malak bundle come Christmas time. So I have these guys to farm, but I have a feeling they'll drop a bundle because these guys are a bit of an older team. Also, there's some rumor that there will be a Grand Inquisitor bundle as well, which will then override this farm here. These are probably a few months out, or a couple months out of me working on, but they're there for me to do in case there's no bundles. And then I'll be going into my JML push. I'll get him going. And then after JML, if these guys are bundles, I'll skip all this. I'll get my Cal unlocked. Then I'll get Jabba. I'll start working on Jabba's requirements. And while doing that, I'll work on a few fleets. I have a negotiator fleet, but it's also sort of a new endurance fleet for a counter to Executor that I've seen. I think Bit Dynasty did it, and a few other people have done that counter. Kind of interesting. And it uses a ship you haven't used much. So Endurance with with Marauder, a few other Galactic Republic ships can counter Executor, and it's kind of fun to do. But that's a general trend. And we're not really sure how the new updates are going to impact your resources and the daily activity in this game. So I can't really say for sure how it's going to go. It is possible that with all of the episode currency you're getting, so if you haven't watched or looked at the update from CG yet on their forums, there's a new currency they're adding to the game. I believe it's called episode currency. You'll be able to use that currency that you gain every day for gear pieces, and that may be able to enhance your ability to then gear up characters. I think these changes are going to help out lower level accounts a lot more than your big accounts. Now my account's not the largest, it's only 6.4 mil. I still have a lot of characters and teams I need to build up on, still working on a lot of things. But if I can escalate my gear 12 to gear 13 with that currency and do that every 3 or 4 days rather than every 7 days, that's going to be a huge change to the game. Also for raids, you gain your tickets now through all your energy. That's also a great quality of life change. So I think there's definitely some good and bad coming from this next upcoming update. I'm not an expert, and there are some great videos already on YouTube that break down this update and go through all of it point by point. I recommend you check out instead. That's not kind of the purpose of this video. It's more of to give you my stance of my point of my account and where I'm going next and what I'm focusing on. I'm still focusing on my GL grinds, on my farms for those, still focusing on raids, but I'm starting to shift into the new raid, or possible new characters for the new raid, rather than characters for the current raid. Because I can already get, we'll go to the raid here really fast so I can show you verbally what's going on, and visually as well. For rewards, I'm hitting this spot 4.5 mil plus right now. To get another million points in this raid, I have to invest like R7 in like a couple teams. If you look at the breakdowns here, I'm doing a couple R5s just to get to R7, which is a lot of resources to commit to characters that could be doing R7 for someone else. I'd only get 600,000 more points, so I would need 2 teams to R7, or I would need to take a team to R8. I don't have that many premium resources for a whole team to do, so I'm kind of okay where I am right now on the raid. I'd rather spend all those resources on the future raid. That way from day 1 I can jump in and get my maximum personal rewards, get my guild as high up as possible. That's kind of my current spot. If you're in this point in the game where you got 4 or 5 good raid teams, you're getting some good scores, you're getting all the Mark II currency, and you need like a million plus more to get to the next box for your personal rewards, I recommend start shifting towards possible future characters or future teams for the raid. Also with Captain Enoch and the 2 zombie troopers, they have an assault battle that's going to net you credits, mats, relic materials, all those goodies. So I'm getting them geared up right now. I may not relic them right away because I do have a few other teams that need relics, but you could jump in and do it right now just for the assault battle. I probably will if I get them to gear 13. I will relic them up right away to R7. But I am doing Executor on the side right now. That's my highest priority right now is Executor, and then I'll probably go hard on to getting these guys up once they are not gear 7, 7 stars. Well, that's my current viewpoint of this team in this game, is to start shifting towards the next raid. Especially if you haven't farmed these guys at all. It does take you about 4, 5, or 6 months to get these guys farmed up. So you might as well start doing it now and start speculating on what could be down the road. Alright, we have hopped over to my alternate account, my free-to-play accounts. And I think with this account, with all the new changes, with some assault battles going away, which, a small note, with some of the assault battles not being in rotation as often, some of the early farming teams that other YouTubers have made are going to start shifting. So you'll probably see some videos where people talk about what teams to start with. They're going to change a little bit. My philosophy, if you are a young account, a new player, only been playing for a couple months or a few months, you've hit 85 recently, is pick one faction team. So, you know, you could go for, let's say you want Night Sisters, you think they're a cool faction, click here, build up that one 5-man team, like 5 characters, get them to 7 stars, minimum gear 12, and you'll be good to go for a while. Because until you start playing the game for probably up to a year or so, you won't have access to all the events or all the activities. Because some activities are locked behind certain factions. Scoundrels are a good faction to go for. They have several events that will give you resources. It's always a good way to go. You can always go bounty hunters instead. They have some factions, not factions. They have some events too that will be really good for your team. On this account, I don't have them farmed up yet, so I'm going for a bit of a different take on this account. But I do think you should have at least 3 or 4 teams gear 12 before you really start to think about what do I need to focus on now to really maximize what I'm doing. Until you have 4 teams gear 12, a lot of things that are locked behind, or a lot of things that have a very general use. So on this account, I'm going for a Phoenix team, a Jedi team, and 2 Empire teams early on. My Jedi team is going to be broken apart down the road. But if you watch my live streams, I've broken down all my plans of farms and really where I'm going to go, so that's not really the point of this video. But I think you need at least 4 solid gear 12 teams. You can choose whatever factions you want. It could be Tuscans if you really wanted them, but I don't recommend it. They're not as useful for the entirety of the game. But you could do an Imperial Remnant team, you could do a Phoenix team, an Empire team, then a Jedi team. That'd be a great basis if you have one 5-man team for each faction. That'll get you really far in the game if you get all 4 teams in year 12. Make that your foundation, and then you can start thinking about where to focus now. An account of my size, of only 500,000 galactic power, I'm not thinking about new characters. I'm not thinking about the new raid. I can barely even do the current raid I'm doing, the Sith raid right here. I mean, I did some points here today. I got 900,000 points because I have a Jedi team that's really strong. I was able to get a pretty good headway into it. But these raids don't have personal rewards, only guild rewards. So if your guild can beat it, which we can in this guild, that's all you need early on. You don't need to do personal rewards until much later in the game, which I think are only for the newer raids, for Endor raid and Naboo raid, probably the one coming out next. Beyond that, you only need the whole guild to contribute, so you don't have to worry about maximizing your personal income. The biggest thing is get that solid foundation, work on your mods, get a nice solid backbone of things going on. If you watch my streams on Monday where I do modding, I have slowly been building up all my mods. You can see I have tons of mods simmed here that are not all ready to go. They're all level 1s. But I have a great foundation to start working these into really good mods. And I have a video talking about how to get good mods and what mods to not worry about, what mods to sell, what mods to keep. I have plans for future modding videos too. I'll go more in depth into it once you get a good idea. But there are several parts to it. There are several. There is some skill needed and some knowledge needed to really get good mods and know what's useful in each character. But as a newer player, don't worry about all the changes. You're going to see a lot of things changing. Just play the game, have fun, do what you want. Be casual for now. There's no point stressing yourself out over being the most competitive as possible. Because really, until you start getting to that 2-3 million GP, you can do almost anything you want. The biggest bit of advice I have for newer players is finish your farms, get your character to 7 stars. If you start something, you start farming a team, like my Jedi for example here. If you start farming Jedi, get your 5-man team to 7 stars, and don't leave it at 3 stars, 2 stars. These are things I just unlock naturally. Don't half farm teams. On my main account, on my first account, I did that when I first started playing, and it really bit me in the butt down the road when I really needed them to be max level so I can get the most out of them. Like if you start going for say you want a resistance team, don't get them to 5 stars, then move on to something else. Go ahead and finish that farm out, hard focus it, so it'll pay off down the road when you have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 good teams that are all 7 stars, max level, at least gear 12, and your opponents only have 5-star teams. Not to throw my PvP opponent in Grand Arena under the bus. If you look at his teams here, I only have one really solid team, 1 or 2 solid teams. But he had characters that weren't finished. This guy's not 7 stars, not level 85. You don't get all the stats if you're not level 85. These guys, same thing, a 6 star, 7 stars, 6 stars, level 60, level 75. Whereas on my defense side, my guys are level 85. Now Royal Guard's not because I don't have him finished. That's a team I have not worked on yet, I threw down. Like my Jedi team, they're level 85, they're 7 stars, they're really powerful, they have good mods, they go really fast. I managed to beat a team that had a stronger roster in pure numbers, but I had better pure power. So I highly recommend you focus your farm, finish one team at a time, don't spread yourself too thin. I recommend if you're doing normal energy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters at a time. Now one's Cantina, but focus on 5 or 6 characters, use your refreshes, sim those energies. Don't worry about what all these YouTubers are saying if you're a new account, because some of that's only applicable to mid-plus game content when you have a lot more teams under your belt. Right now, just farm a couple characters, a couple teams. Once you get to that 4 or 5 solid teams at gear 12 and 7 stars on all of them, then you can start worrying about where to take your account for the future. My recommendation, if you're just starting the game, focus on this journey guide right up here on the top. Click that, pick one of these characters here, go for that character. These 3 here have a lot of synergy with Rebels and Jedi and Empire. That's one way to start. If you really want to think long form way down the road, go to the Galactic Legend tab, pick one of these guys you want to go for. So if you want to go for Jabba the Hutt first, click on him. It'll show you everybody you need to unlock and at what gear level or relic level you need, and start working towards them. So for example, you need Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker here. I mentioned that earlier in this video on my main account. This is a great character to get up early on because he has a nice synergy with different farms way down the road. You guys, I hope this video gave you some insight, some ideas to bounce off of, to help you not be so stressed about the upcoming changes. If you're a newer player, really doesn't apply to you much. The changes are just going to be a new way to get through the early game to get rewards. We'll find out more how to use those new changes for buying gear and all that when it comes out. We really don't have much information. If you want to really find out what the changes are, there are great videos on YouTube that you can watch that breaks it down quite thoroughly. But guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the channel. It's growing every day. I see new subs coming in every day. It encourages me to keep doing this. I am live on Twitch Mondays and Tuesdays and some Sundays. And this week I'm doing a couple extra bonus streams, so you never know when you might see me during the week if I have free time. But guys, drop a like, comment down below if you have any ideas, suggestions for new players, new accounts. I'm all about fostering community. And as always, guys, have a great rest of your week, and may the Force be with you.